Fresh off his supporting roles in Heart's War and Minority Report, Hollywood decided that Colin Farrell would be the next Hollywood it guy. And in 2003, he starred in not one, not two, not three, but four weirdly different films. And in this video, I'm gonna go over all four of these films. I am a big fan of Colin Farrell. I've always enjoyed his films. And in 2003, I actually did see all of these movies, so I'm very excited to revisit all of them for this video. So the first film, released in January of 2003, is The Recruit, starring Colin Farrell and Al Pacino.
We found someone who was perfect.
You graduated top of your class at MIT. You're agile, athletic. I am recruiting you.
Would I have to kill anyone?
Would you like to?
There's not much to say about The Recruit other than it is very much a torch-passing movie. Any big Hollywood star could be the Al Pacino role, and any rising star can play the Colin Farrell role. It's a very paint-by-number spy film where Al Pacino recruits Colin Farrell to be in the CIA. He gets washed out, is then recruited by Al Pacino to be an undercover CIA agent and to get involved with some of his fellow former trainees. It's very formulaic, it's very paint by numbers. I don't really think it did that much for Colin Farrell's career. I don't think it's that memorable of a movie. I remember watching it when it came out and I really enjoyed it. Rewatching it for this video, I found I was struggling to finish it. It wasn't pulling me in the same way. I think it's the start of Al Pacino's phoned in post-Oscar performances. He doesn't have a terrible performance, but it's not on the same level as most of Al Pacino's great performances. Colin Farrell is not bad in this movie. He's not amazing either. It's all very generic. In the look and feel, it's a very bleak looking movie, and overall, it's not that memorable of a movie, and I wouldn't really recommend you to go out to watch it.
So do you think you'd make a good CIA agent?
No. Next person. No. I would have done nothing in my life to, give me the right to go, yeah, I would. No, it's a different kettle of fish. I'm a play actor.
It did okay. Out of the four movies, it grossed the third most. All four of these films actually didn't do that bad. They actually all did well. The next film that we're going to cover is the 2003 Daredevil, which has been covered by a lot of YouTube channels. You probably have seen it. You might not have seen it. Good for you if you haven't seen it.
Give me bullseye.
The devil's mine.
I hope justice is found here before justice finds you.
When it came out, I didn't really like it, and rewatching it for this, I didn't like it for the same reasons I didn't like it then. I think it's the Webster's definition of a bad comic book movie. The best way to describe it. Although I would say Colin Farrell probably has the best performance next to Michael Clark Duncan. He's extremely cartoony and almost is too ridiculous for the film.
Yeah, the thing about this, which is why it's so much fun, is because I've never done a job like it, in the sense that you just check your subtlety in at the door and, be as camp and over the top as possible.
I want a fucking costume.
But he's giving it his all, and he's really going for it.
Colin's take on it is he's going to play it like part Sid Vicious, part Alex from Clockwork Orange.
I think a lot of this movie shows a lot of the early signs of the great actor he's going to become. Out of these four films, it's the only one he's not the lead, and it was the only one to not be a box office hit based on what I could tell from the production budget and the gross.
Wow, it's very skin-like.
Yeah, it's gelatin. But yeah, he would have just had a board and branded it. It's a branding. It's not a tattoo, or they were going to do a tattoo. I mean, in the comic book, he's in a pair of blue fucking tights, and thank God they knocked that one on the head.
Out of the actors in this movie, Colin Farrell probably got out of this the most unscathed. I don't think this hurt him in any way. And April 2003 brought us Phone Booth, the Joel Schumacher-directed neo-noir thriller.
Stu Shepard thought he had the game wired, but today, someone's got his number.
Yeah.
Don't even think about leaving that booth.
Who is this?
Someone who enjoys watching you. I have a .30 caliber bolt action 700 with a Hensoldt tactical scope.
What did I do to deserve this? How? Why me?
If you have to ask, then you're not ready to know yet.
Starring Colin Farrell as a PR rep who goes to the same phone booth every day to talk to his girlfriend so his wife doesn't see his cell phone records. And when he goes to the phone booth on this specific day, the phone rings. On the other end is the voice of Kiefer Sutherland, who says, if you get off this phone, phone. I have a sniper rifle trained on you in the middle of Manhattan. I'm gonna shoot you. A lot of interesting stuff unfolds. Forrest Whitaker also stars as a hostage negotiating detective. And out of the 4 films, I think this is the one that I would recommend the most and the one I would actually say to seek out. Phone Booth is a brisk hour and 20 minutes, and I really think it's more like an hour and 5 when you take out all the credits and everything. It's a very short movie. It gets right to the point. Like The Recruit, I feel like it's very much a could be any actor passing the torch movie, but I think Colin Farrell's performance in this is a lot stronger. Farrell conveys a lot of real fear and terror that connects the viewer to the movie, putting you on the edge of the seat, anticipating what's going to happen next.
About your little motel.
Phone Booth was a lot of fun. Phone Booth was a challenge. I think 9 days in the booth. We shot 1 day in Times Square. To do a feature film in 10 days it just never happened.
I'd also say very few actors could pull off the vocal performance that Kiefer Sutherland does. It is very strong and almost Hitchcockian, and is definitely one of the most memorable Kiefer Sutherland performances in a career of memorable performances.
You still with me? Stand up and be a man.
So, what do you mean you'd whack me for no particular reason?
Oh, I have plenty of reasons. And you keep giving me more.
Definitely his best in a live-action movie where he is only seen for about a minute. Farrell is able to convey all these things without actually having anyone to play off of in a lot of the film. Obviously, Kiefer Sutherland's voice was not there with him. They had someone reading him lines, but he really plays it off like he's talking to this menacing person on the phone, and you really feel it. And his acting actually has a distinction from him talking on the phone to him interacting with the people that is very realistic.
Jim Carrey was going to do it, and I think there was a world I'd heard Mel Gibson and Will Smith, and Jim was going to do it. He dropped out for whatever reason, and then Joel called me because we'd worked on Tigerland together, and he said, listen, I had the script, will you have a look at it? And I read it and loved it and just saw it as the challenge that it became.
I really enjoy this movie. I thought it was alright when I watched it as a kid, and watching it now, I actually really enjoy it and think it's a very fun popcorn thriller and a great way to kill an hour. Weirdly though, out of the 4 films, I think this is the second most forgotten next to The Recruit, but I also think all Joel Schumacher films post Batman and Robin are forgotten. I would say the 2 most known are the number 23 and the Phantom of the Opera musical, which is only known because of the fact that it's based off a musical. If it wasn't, I don't think a lot of people would talk about it. And number 23 is really only known for its batshit premise and its batshit performance by Jim Carrey in the first film reuniting them since Batman Forever. And that film is so bad, I am not going to talk about it ever again. I do think when it comes to Colin Farrell's acting, this is the best showcase of the 4 of his acting ability, and I would recommend watching it on Hulu. The last film that we're going to cover is the last film Colin Farrell was the lead of in 2004, and is weirdly a combination of all 3 of the films before it. We're talking Swat.
I want you to put together a young, top-notch team for me, Dan. Ha! You select them, you train them, you mold them.
Well, I'm beginning to like this guy already. We're Swat.
I will give $100 million to whoever gets me out of here.
Are you for real or what, Holmes?
$100 million!
They're coming out of the woodwork.
We have an ex-SWAT guy leading this attack. Montella's escaping.
Okay, guys, this is what we trained for.
I think growing up out of these 4 films, SWAT was definitely my favorite. SWAT was a big summer blockbuster action film starring Colin Farrell, which also works as a pass-torching film where Samuel L. Jackson is passing the torch to him to be an action leading man. It also stars LL Cool J, Michelle Rodriguez, Jeremy Renner as the main antagonist, and Josh Charles, who is an actor that I think is a very good actor, but he always plays a guy I just want to wring his neck out. I just want to wring his neck out in every movie. That's why I can't watch The Good Wife. I can't watch The Good Wife because he was on it. Heard some bad things happen to him on The Good Wife. Maybe I should watch it. I just want to wring him out. Josh Charles. Out of the 4, I would say SWAT does the best job of actually passing the torch for Colin Farrell. It is also a fun film. The characters have good chemistry. It has some good action. And although not the best film in the world, if you're looking for an action film with Colin Farrell from 2003, this is the one to go for. $100 million! If I had to rank these 4 films when it comes to my enjoyment of the film and the performance of Colin Farrell, I would have to put Phone Booth as number 1, SWAT as 2, Recruit 3, and Daredevil 4. Weirdly, this is not the rankings that I thought I was going to have going into the video. I enjoyed Phone Booth way more than I thought I would, and disliked The Recruit way more than I thought I was going to. Daredevil kind of stayed the same, and SWAT showed a little bit of its age, but I still think it was probably the best torch-passing movie for Colin Farrell. All of these movies, minus Daredevil, were successful, and I think they did a good job of making Colin Farrell a big star for the future. Unfortunately, I think any goodwill that this year brought him as a leading man bogged down by 4 years of bad movies with good intentions. And an itty-bitty stint in rehab. The Oliver Stone Alexander film that he starred in 2004 probably deserves a video in its own right and how it became just a complete mess and unmitigated big-budget disaster. Terrence Malick's The New World is probably his least talked about film. And Miami Vice took both him and the audience over the edge. I know that Miami Vice has its defenders, and there are some people that think it's a really good movie or a fun action film. I am not one of those people. I have to this day not been able to watch Miami Vice from beginning to end. I have tried many times and find it almost impossible to finish that movie. I don't think it's Colin Farrell. I don't know if it's Jamie Foxx. I don't know if it's Michael Mann. That is just not a movie that I've ever been able to fully watch. After Miami Vice, Colin Farrell stopped being this big budget leading man and started going for more interesting fare. He of course has had his duds, but he's done a great job of carving out roles for himself, working with really great up and coming directors, making films that a lot of big name actors would not normally sign on to. It started with Martin McDonagh's In Bruges, which then went on to his next film, Seven Psychopaths.
And what do you think we should do in real life?
Both of these roles are fantastic, and Farrell plays them phenomenally and are arguably two of his best performances. And both roles are unique in the fact that most big Hollywood stars would not want to be portrayed in this way. The same goes for both Yorgos Lanthimos films he stars in, Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Lobster.
And the dog?
My brother, he was here a couple of years ago, but he didn't make it.
As you understand from your brother's experience, if you fail to fall in love with someone during your stay here, you'll turn into an animal.
Both films are fascinating and are actually very hard to sit through for a lot of people. I'm not one of them. I love both of these movies, but they're very weird, out there movies that I could see 90% of Hollywood's leading men turn down. Colin Farrell is not one of those typical leading men. He's also gone on to do big budget films again, but doing roles that he wouldn't normally have taken back in 2003. Horrible Bosses being the perfect example. It shows not only that he's a great comedic actor, he's willing to put on the makeup and play a completely different character from anything he's ever portrayed or might ever portray again. Just this year in Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman, I waxed poetic over his portrayal of the character Coach. I think it's phenomenal and steals every scene that he's in that film.
What do you got for me? Now make it quick. Make it funny.
Fuck you! Jeez, that's disappointing. No, not that.
And when he's gone back to being in more traditional films like the 2003 movies, he has again failed to garner the audience. Total Recall and Dumbo were both very forgettable performances from him and did not do well in the box office. Artemis Fowl is getting placed on Disney+, although I am very much looking forward to his portrayal of the Penguin in Matt Reeves' new Batman film. I think 2003 really was the year of Colin Farrell, and it really shows what kind of actor that he truly is. He is much better at playing an out-of-the-box character in a very weird situation where he has to actually convey emotion than he is in these generic, any actor can play them films. He needs something to actually sink his teeth into in order to be the actor everyone knows he can be. Again, I think Colin Farrell's a fantastic actor, and I can't wait to see him do more films that are outside of the box. And maybe in 2023, he can have another year that was just as big for him as it was in 2003. Alright guys, that's my video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you like to see more videos like this? Let me know if there's any other actors you'd like me to cover in this way. I'll see you guys next time.